fans, to episode 93 of the Hooks End MMA podcast. We're here in 2023, back with a vengeance. Betting is now legal again in Ontario, and we're going to put some money in your pockets with our easy lines. We got a huge pay-per-view tonight here. It's January 21st, UFC 283 in Brazil. We got the 43-year-old Glover Teixeira looking to get that interim light heavyweight belt back on his waist, facing off against Jamal Hill. And so we don't have much hot headline news, so we're going to jump right into our betting segment. Z-Balls is going to get us back on that profitability track here for the new year. Over to you, Z-Balls. Let's get her going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess starting us off, of course, with the lightweight heavyweight championship of the world, we got the Glover Teixeira taking on, is it Jamal Hill? Is that right, Zone? Or how do we pronounce that?
It's either that or some people say Jamal Hill, but
yeah.
I think it's Jamal Hill.
Jamal Hill. Okay, perfect.
Sweet dreams. Yeah. You can just call them sweet dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all you need to know him as, because he has been absolutely rocketing up the rankings of the light heavyweight division here, and got himself in a position to fight the very much experienced and seasoned veteran Glover Teixeira. He's experienced a kind of late career renaissance here. It's been great for us old guys to see him kind of come through in his 40s and become a champ again. He looks revitalized after, a couple pretty bad looking KOs that he was on the wrong end of there, I think a couple of years ago, but turned his game around. Not exactly sure what it was in terms of his energy or the way he was training, but his body started looking great, even better at 40 years old a couple of years ago. And he's just really, really capitalized on all the opportunities the UFC has given him, and really just kind of kept sharp the entire time. Used his savvy veteran knowledge within the cage to get a lot of wins there, right? In that last fight against Yuri, it was another scary situation for him, but Yuri being a little bit underexperienced in comparison, certainly, there were some chances for him to end the fight. He wasn't able to do it, and Glover ended up taking the win. So now we have Hill coming on here, taking him on. Glover, the underdog at plus 110, and then Hill is at. I'm sorry, I got the American, or actually the British.
It's almost pick 'em. It's like slight favorite for Hill.
Oh yeah, minus 138. That's what it is. Okay, so minus 138 for Hill. As so slight favorite. Makes sense for a guy with how young he is, and kind of just up and comer and things like that. Got a lot of hype behind him, but Glover has he's obviously taught us that age is just a number, and he can win any night against any one of these young guys. So pick 'em fight does make sense with a slight lean to Hill. I don't know what to take here, guys. I don't have any hard leans here per se. I am liking the I think I'm liking the over 1.5 minus 125. Hill is a fast starter, but I think Glover's going to be able to fight off that fast start and at least last to the end of the second round, right? So over 1.5. Reminder to our viewers that doesn't mean it just needs to go to the second round. It needs to go halfway through that second round, right? So 2 minutes, 30 seconds in. So you're still going to be sweating for 7.5 minutes there, but I think I like that lean. What do you boys think for this one? Do you like a winner? Do you maybe like the under better? What are you guys thinking here?
Trons, go ahead.
Okay. I like Glover for a few reasons, not only, but the plus side of the value. So I like that. I like his just kind of calm demeanor and his IQ in the ring. Yeah. I think he's a smart fighter. He can attack weaknesses of his opponent, and him at home with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He was obviously pretty vocal about not getting that shot with Jan against Magomed and Ankalaev, and I think that has really motivated him to get a win here and potentially a stoppage. Could be a finish here, could be a submission is what I'm smelling. Could be late round, and so I do agree with your over there, Z. I think the first round or two might be gauging each other's distance and a little more conservative, where in the later rounds I think Glover is going to get inside. He's going to lock up an arm, potentially a neck, and give it a nice old squeeze. And so my pick officially is Glover, money line on the plus to win in his home country. You, Zoni?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't have anything to add. Just I think the grappling is going to play a big part of the fight, and we know how strong Glover is, so I got him as well.
Nice. And yeah, sorry, just to correct myself, I made a mistake there. Glover actually he ended up losing to Yuri, and then they ended up having that, I guess, interim
Really
title,
fight.
right?
Yeah.
And then so then they're another interim fight here where we're not going to get into all the UFC.
You almost got the win against Yuri, like late tap out, right? Like right at the end.
It was a back and forth.
Yeah,
it was a back and forth for sure. Yeah. And Hill, Hill, as we said, he's got a couple of quick starts in there. Glover later round. The more I think about it, the more we've spoken about it. I'm liking that quite a bit, and that over 1.5 is nice as well. So, going on to the next round or next fight. Sorry, we have the co-main event, the bantamweight championship of the world. Of course, the fourth fight between Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. I think that hasn't been done before, 4 fights within the UFC, and it's because these guys have been going at it really, really nicely within the cage. I think the first one was a draw, then Moreno won in submission, and then the last fight, Deiveson had won in a decision. So it's been all over the place a little bit with these two, and that's why we're having the fourth fight here. And it's going to be a banger, I believe. And what I'm kind of leaning, what we have right now is Deiveson at plus 100, Moreno minus 125. A little surprising that there's a little bit more money coming down on Moreno, given Deiveson did win the last fight. It was a very close decision, I would say, very, very close. Many people online were arguing for Moreno, so understandable that there, a little bit more money coming down there. But for me, you guys know I love Deiveson. He's one of my favorite fighters, most exciting fighters in UFC, in my personal opinion. So him at plus 100, I like that. With that plus money, but I could not fault anyone for taking Moreno at minus 125. He's one of the most likable guys in the UFC as well, I think, outside the ring. So, that's perfectly standard, but I'm going with Deiveson there. In terms of the over-under, the opposite here. I like the under a little bit more, but under in terms of the fight going the distance. So, interesting to me here, fight to go to the distance is plus 110. Yes is minus 150. So they clearly think that the fight's going to go all the way. Very, very, very possible with these two being how tough they are. 135s usually don't put each other away quite like that. But with these two, you never know what's going to happen. They both have the ability to end each other. Moreno's got a hell of a chin on him, but power's the last thing to go away from you as you get older. So I don't really see Figgy's power going away. I can see both of their cardios going down, which again is, bodes well for the ender. So, but I could see either one of them winning. So if you don't want to choose a winner here, I could definitely say no on the fight to go to distance plus 110. Again, you're getting plus money here. So you can put just one unit on it and feel good about it. And I think that's a decent chance there, because obviously you get either one that can win. But do you guys see anything else you like there, or maybe you have the opposite thoughts? What are you guys liking?
It's a tough one for me. I think it's the closest fight on the card tonight, and will be exciting for sure, entertaining, but betting wise, gonna just avoid. There are some crazy boosts I see. Figueiredo by finish in round 2. And sorry, this is only KO TKO plus 1,800, so 19-1 odds. That's like an applied probability of 6%. So definitely a dart throw, but huge value. And then if you really like the under, the aggressive under, I see a boost here. When will the fight end? Round 1 plus 600. So 7-1 odds there. Again, great value. I think Z's onto something. There could be some fireworks here and just like a punch that connects, and could be not going to the judges scorecard, which never like in these 5-round title fights, because there's always some sort of controversy or someone getting robbed or something. So I am cheering for the finish. I just don't know who's going to do it. That's my problem. How about you, Zone? Do you got an inkling? Do you got a lean?
No, I'm assuming one of these fights near the top is going to be rigged, so I'm going to stay away from it.
Yeah, that's fair.
There you go. Kraus is lurking in the shadows.
Yeah.
Speaking in my ear.
There you go. Well, let's move down the main card. We got a nice welterweight matchup here. Gilbert Burns, Neil Magny. I'm not sure if you guys looked into this one yet, but it is Burns's first fight back in the octagon here after a really tightly contested one versus Khamzat Chimaev. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, for that, I mean, yeah, good on Neil Magny for taking this fight. He always seems to be the guy that steps up and takes fights against the absolute monsters in the top 10 and 170. So good for him. But again, he's chosen a real tough spot for himself because Gilbert Burns is a beast at 170. Even at 155, obviously, he was great, but his move to 170, yes, he's a little bit shorter than most of his opponents, but he packs a real lot of power in his punches. And of course, he's one of the best guys in jiu-jitsu in all of UFC, let alone that division itself. So yeah, his last performance, obviously we all remember against Chimaev, one of the fights of the year, certainly the fight of that night on a great pay-per-view. And he really kind of, I wouldn't say he derailed the hype train per se, but he certainly slowed it down on Chimaev and showed that, hey, this guy's beatable. You can hit this guy. Chimaev does not move his head off that center line. There's no head movement there. He relies a lot on his wrestling and his toughness and his intimidation of his opponents. Burns ain't intimidated by no one. And so he brought that fight to him and it was amazing. So I think Burns is going to continue on that stretch. But you're not seeing any value here on Burns. Clearly, he's minus 450. I almost feel bad. Magny is plus 350. I would have if I was Magny, I'd be a little bit insulted by this line a little bit, but it is what it is. I get it because there's just tons of money coming down on Burns. Him by finish plus 110, him by decision plus 160. I don't know. I'm liking that decision there. I think Magny's extremely, again, another savvy veteran. He has good jiu-jitsu as well. He's very lanky. He's not going to be easy to get down there. Once you do get him down there, his leg is basically up to like halfway through Burns's chest. So like his limbs he's not going to get knee bars and arm bars on him very easily by any. He's not going to be able to wrap his arms around him too easy. So it's going to be hard for Burns to get that submission and finish him. So I'm leaning towards Burns. It's also a 3-round fight, of course, right? So I'm leaning towards Burns plus 160 decision. Again, you're getting plus money there. So you can even put a half unit on there, feel pretty good. Obviously, put a unit, hit the bond and have a good night. So I think that's a good lean there. But what are you guys thinking? What are you feeling on that one?
Sony?
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I have 3 massive upset value plays tonight, and one of them is this one.
Nice.
I'm going to play the opposite side here and say that Burns never would have taken this fight because he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to drop in the rankings to find fights. He took this fight because Magny has the most welterweight wins in UFC history. He's one of the most underrated guys in the welterweight division. He's 6-2 in his last 8. Some of the wins during that time against really tough guys: Jeff Neal, Robbie Lawler, Li Jingliang, Max Griffin's tough, and one of the murderous guys in the division is Daniel Rodriguez. He just finished. I think the long limbs and Burns fighting Chimaev last, that's like his peak performance. So he looked unbelievable, but I think he gets a little bit humbled tonight. I'm not sure if it's going to be by finish, but just money line. I do like the value at that amount for what Magny has done in the UFC thus far. He's not an easy out.
Like not an easy out. I think it's the odds are a bit wide here. I think it should be a tighter, like
Yes.
maybe minus 200 for Burns. So that being said, I'm not taking Burns on his own. I'm actually putting him in a parlay. I still think he gets the win, but it might be tight. And now thinking about it more, that decision, Burns plus 160 looks good, but ton of value on Magny too. Like I agree, Magny can get this win.
Exactly.
Guy's strength of schedule is unreal. So
even if you didn't believe Magny was going to win, or like, you know, truly, like a value play is still him, right? Like, because he shouldn't be a plus 350, right? He should be a plus 250 or plus 200 maybe or something, right? That's overinflated, way overinflated.
Yes.
He has a much better chance than that. So that is a good value play. Like, will it happen? No, or like will it happen for sure? You know, we don't know, but at plus 350, you should, we're more than willing to back that play and, back that up. So at plus 350. And then also, everyone seems to be kind of going more in the distance, like all three of us kind of seems to be leaning more in a longer fight here. Fight to go the distance, minus 120. So maybe if you like both fighters and just the for it to going longer, minus 120 there, put a little unit on there, and that will be nice as well. So but next up, in terms of going down the list here, I'm looking at Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. Andrade, obviously a huge again, minus 800, a whopping minus 800 versus Murphy at plus 550. Obviously, again, this is a little bit of an inflated one, a little bit just based on a puncher's chance, basically, right? But Andrade, yes, she's going to get this win, most likely. I'm guessing this might be one of Zone's other value plays here as well, maybe. But I am leaning on Andrade to win, certainly. But if you wanted to go Murphy at plus 550, I mean, I wouldn't fault you at all, because that is extra value on top there. But what I'm actually looking at more so here is Andrade by finish. Minus 110, KO, TKO, or submission. Yeah, minus 110. Again, that looks pretty solid to me. I think Lauren Murphy, she kind of like a stick in the mud, the way she moves there a little bit, very kind of stiff. And Andrade is going to be able to really use her wrestling and just use her movement, her footwork, to really just kind of get in there and beat her up, basically, and end the fight before the third round ends. But yeah, what are you guys thinking for that one?
Sony?
Yeah, like I agree. She doesn't have the greatest movement, but one thing there is going to be a massive difference is size, and I think Murphy's going to end up on fight day being close to 20 pounds bigger than Andrade. And I think that's a big thing when Murphy fights kind of that grinding style and kind of hold you up against the cage, wear you out, throw some knees, control. I think that has to be what she's going to do in order to win. She does not have the power like Andrade. We wouldn't wake up tomorrow and say, wow, Andrade finished her. I can't believe that. Like, that's where the betting lines are. That's what's supposed to happen. I just think another like line that is just crazy wide. Like, I know Andrade is good and she hits hard. But this is a big, strong girl that's done really well. Yeah, she lost to Valentina. But she's is older too. She almost is 40, right? So, but I don't know. If I'm gonna lean anything, I think the decision, or to go the distance. But I at plus 550, I got to throw a couple bucks on Murphy.
Yeah,
there's that double chance plus 800 Murphy by decision or KO.
Yeah, I'm just about to touch that right now. That sounds great.
Or I'm even liking that round 3 when will fight end, plus 800, 9-1 odds. And I could see Andrade finishing her late where they're both just kind of gassed and it's like random elbow that just catches her chin or something like that.
Yeah.
So that you can't really go Andrade any other way. Minus 800 is way too wide. Even her by finish is minus, which I do not like that.
You might as well open up a 10-year GIC. Wait for that to come out.
Stupid. So
minus 110 to finish. That's not horrible.
No, but you're not even doubling your money, and I don't know. I could see this going to decision.
Exactly. Yeah.
Murphy is tough, and she can bang in there. So we only have 2 minutes left. We're pretty much to the front of the main card. There's just the Paul Craig, Johnny Walker fight there. But any maybe prelim leans or edges you guys wanted to share, or that
zone you go. I don't really got any, so zone you jump in there.
Yeah, just a couple quick. Jailton Almeida, like the hottest guy in the UFC, the scariest dude at heavyweight. That's a little undersized. Shamil is like at the end of his career. He's been horrible lately. First round finish. I like Almeida. He's been murdering people. That's my lock of the night. And then there's 2 other value ones. So at featherweight for the women, Josiane Nunez she throws really hard, but she's mostly been fighting at bantamweight. I don't think she's going to be able to land those strikes like she did at bantamweight. At featherweight, I like the value for Zara in just even throwing a couple of units on that.
6-inch height advantage. I'm
Huge
not sure if you saw the
advantage.
weigh-ins, but just towering over.
It's massive.
That's a
And
half
the
foot.
other upset of the night, newcomer to the UFC fighting Thiago Moises is Melquizo Costa. It's a guy with a skin disease, kind of reminds me of Scott Jorgensen back in the day. The UFC's had so many negative things alongside of them recently. My conspiracy theory is that a good story with a guy with a skin disease that's a huge underdog is going to win tonight.
Like that, yep. He'll be exciting to watch. There is a Daniel Marcos to win by decision boost, plus 400, boosted up to plus 500, liking that 6-1. And then I'm also liking that T-Rex Terrence McKinney. He was on our show. He's a long kid, is so athletic. Circle that one on prelims. I think there's going to be a finish, so that under also looks tasty.
One of the coolest fights on the card. Like if you watch, it's going to be good.
Fireworks Central.
Remember, he almost finished Dober too, and then Dober's been on a nice little roll. So yeah, he might get the win.
We'll see you at the cashier around midnight. Let's get it.